Absolutely, man. But, he's telling the truth. I had to drag him out of the ditch, man. Drag him out of the ditch, put him on my shoulder, and take care of him.
Hey, mind you, a ditch that he put me in. So let's don't leave that part of the story out. I didn't just get in the ditch by myself.
I'm Corey Baldwin.
And I'm Dan Searle, and we're back with a new and exciting episode of Off the Beaten Path, a podcast for basketball coaches living in obscurity, working in obscurity, and even those who have made it out of obscurity.
It's a place for storytelling. Some of the stories are true, some are false. For learning, connecting, and food for the belly and food for thought.
There'll be a lot of thinking this time around. Today's episode, back to those true or false stories, has a couple of characters that are going to be full of the storytelling. Corey, who we got with us today?
All right, we got blood cousin Clint Satterfield, repping the Hawks and the Falcons over there in the Dion throwback. And we got not blood cousin, but basically grew up with him since the old Chris Duncan camps. Coach Duncan camps from way back when, and that's Coach Wade. And both of them have been in South Georgia and South Atlanta, and now they're on here going to tell us some stories. Let's start with Clint. Clint, tell us a little bit about you played at Jonesboro, and then you ended up at Fort Union. Is that correct?
Yeah, man, I played at Jonesboro for probably the meanest SO coach that you ever could have been a part of. I believe you know him. I know Chris Wade knows him. But he brought a different day and time to basketball, because back then, boy, you were scared to go to practice. But played for him. He encouraged me to kind of stick to basketball. Just like Chris and you, when we was growing up, we played everything. So Duncan kind of steered my way to focusing in on basketball. Then I went to Fort Union, and then I went to Georgia College, played for Bill Hodges, legendary coach of Larry Bird, and reunited with my man Chris Wade down here. And we left Milledgeville. We left a mark on Milledgeville. I don't think that Ajax can't get rid of. But I've been coaching, man, and then been coaching in 28 years now. So
really, 28 years. Wade, you was at Forest Park. How old were you when Clint was a senior at Jonesboro when they made state?
I was trying to think about that today. I think I was a sophomore, and I actually was at the game in the Tech's old arena, I guess the same arena, but before it was renovated. And when they played Griffin and Hancock, Hancock put them out. I think I'm correct on that year. And I was a sophomore, I believe. And at the time, before I actually got to know him, he was kind of a guy I looked up to, kind of a hero of mine, watching him play. And then, once I met him at Georgia College and got to know him, and that didn't last very long. So, kind of went the other way.
When we got to Milledgeville going to the bars, Wade became my hero. Role reversal.
Right.
So Wade,
I will say this: I went to Truett. I played at Forest Park. Then I went to Truett, and then from Truett, I decided to try to walk on at Georgia College. So during that time, the year I was with Clint, I met Clint and was around him probably every day. I actually wasn't playing at Georgia College. My plan was to walk on the next year. Then the coach left, and kind of how we actually became together again is when he left, I went to Clint, and Clint and I talked, and my ultimate goal was to be a coach. And, Clint basically gave me some good advice. One of the few times he gave me some good advice is, he said, hey, you need to find you somewhere, with a good coach who knows what he's doing, so you can learn and, move on. And he suggested Coach Duhan at Georgia Southwestern. And Clint actually, was taking a job at Macon County. So we left Georgia College together and went to America. So, that's kind of, we kind of hooked up at Georgia College, and then, and then went on from there.
All right. So
I got a piece of history, though. Me and Chris Wade hit the first ever cash 3 on the Georgia lottery. won again. We hit the first day that Georgia Cash Lottery played.
We did.
We hit the cash 3 and never. It was probably the only dollar we had.
All right. Because of the bad weekend we had
At the
on
pool
the
hall.
books. Yeah.
Wait a second, though. Are you serious? The first ever?
The first ever
Yeah,
cash
we hit
3.
the first there.
Me and Chris Wade got the winning ticket.
That
We
is,
thought it was
is a
easy.
story right there.
If
Yeah.
that right there just made your podcast.
You know what?
You know
Hey.
anybody else that's done that?
No, obviously.
Okay then.
Hey, so Clint, after you played for Hodges, y'all made the NAIA national tournament there, right?
Yeah, we went 3 times.
Really?
We flew out to Kemper Arena. It was a big deal back in the old days. The powerhouse back then was David Lipscomb.
Yep.
They were the powerhouse. The NAIA. They were the king of the NAIA. And so each year, you know, it would come down between Georgia College and Georgia Southwestern. And going back to Glenn Duhon coached Joe Dumars State, which was, he reminded Wade and them on a daily basis, you know. That,
Yeah, he did.
Dumars, just as I was reminded about Larry Bird on a daily basis, you know. We'd run a play wrong, and Hodges say, "Well, when I had Larry Bird, you know, that play worked." Well, yeah, it's gonna work. Anything's gonna work. And Duhon was the same way with about Joe Dumar, but in respect to both of those guys, man, Chris will tell you, with Bill and Duhon, man, 2 great guys, man. And they like coaches. You know what I'm saying? They wanted you to coach. And me and Wade might be one of the few guys that played for those that end up coaching. They didn't have many guys that played for them that ended up coaching.
Right.
Hey, let's talk about both of those guys for a minute. Some people listening may not put pieces together, but you're talking about Bill Hodges, coached you at Georgia College, and was the Indiana State coach in the most viewed television game ever for the NCAA final with Magic and Bird and all that stuff. Tell us about Coach Hodges. Good coach, wanted you to be coaches, had some Bird references, but what kind of a guy was he? What kind of a basketball mind, and why was he Georgia College?
I don't know the whole truth of how he ended up to Georgia College. I know he was very good friends with Hugh Durham, ex-Georgia head coach, and I believe that Hugh Durham got him into Milledgeville. I do know this as far as a coach and a man. I still talk to him on a weekly basis, and he's a big influence in my life and my career, but he was the type of guy that his coaching philosophy was, and I think Chris and Corey both follow this a little bit, and I know I do. You're going to play as hard as you can play. If you ain't going to play as hard as you can play, you're at the wrong spot. So, and when I was 19 years old, I didn't often play as hard as I could. But I learned, you know, playing with this guy, you wanted to because of what kind of coach he was. So, you know, obviously all of us know the X's and O's. But the difference I believe in basketball is, can you get your guys to play hard? And if you can, then, you know, we can all draw up an inbounds play. Coaching basketball is a pirate profession. You just steal something from somebody else that you saw, and, you know, you just got to make it work.
Yeah.
But that playing hard thing is what Hodges installed in myself. And Chris and Corey, I tell you, they watched me grow up. I didn't play hard till I got to college. And same thing with Chris. You know, I'd go there all the time, watch them. And, man, you watch a practice at Georgia Southwestern when Glenn Duhon was there, it was like a damn boxing match. I mean, it was a free-for-all. And he liked Chris.
Tell us about that, Wade.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I ain't going to say fighting was promoted, but it was to the point that the competition was so high, and we were really talented. I was probably the least talented player on the team. We were really talented, and the competition was so high. And he put you in so many competitive situations and demanded so much in those situations that inevitably, you know, a fight or two was going to break out every day, just about. I mean, it was you know, like Clint said, it was a damn war at practice every day. And and I think that was a good thing. The good thing about him is, and maybe our team, is we were always able, he made sure before we left, if any of this shit goes to the locker room, then there's going to be hell to pay. I mean, you did what you did in here, it's over with. When you go down there, you laugh, you joke, you beat each other's boys. Ain't no more fight, and we understood that was just a part of him building a mentality in us, to face our opponents. And he wasn't pitting us against each other. He was just getting a competitive drive going in us as a unit. And then eventually we took that out on other people. So it was a different experience, but it was one that I carried over into my coaching as much as possible. And something I'm thankful that I was a part of.
I'm gonna tell y'all guys something too. In the late '80s and early '90s, Georgia Southwestern didn't lose at home. I mean, that didn't happen. You going there,
right?
And same thing with Georgia College. I was trying to remember when Bill was there. Our home record was phenomenal. I mean, it was unbelievable. Now, sometimes we go on the road, we stink it up, but it was something about that mindset they gave you that you was in everyday fighting, man. Ain't nobody gonna come in there and
right.
take your lunch from you, without getting punched in the mouth.
But I love that part. You're gonna compete. You're gonna go at each other in practice, but you're in the locker room. You're gonna be joking it up in your teammates.
Right.
Did he say that specifically? I mean, at the end of practice in the huddle, it's like, okay, now go be buddies, or how did they instill that in you guys? Because that's tough to break away from that anger.
Yeah, I think he made it. He didn't really say it to that way, but he made it understood that when we leave here, that's it. It's over. But I think also that team, we were just unique, and we had a big sophomore class or junior class came in, probably 6 or 7 JUCO guys. We all came in together. We were just real tight. I mean, one of my best friends was Eric Taylor, and off the court, we were both math majors and we were boys. But Duhan, I was responsible for him every day, and Duhan would say, "Hey, get in Eric's shit and make sure make him uncomfortable. Let's see how he responds," because I wasn't gonna play. So I had to do something to help. And me and Eric would damn near fight every day. I mean, we call each other every name in the book. And then, that night we'd be playing ping pong and studying for math tests. It was just kind of understood within the group. We did what we did on the floor, but then off the floor, we were really a tight-knit group.
Studying for math tests.
So
Clint, do a lot of studying. I just kind of threw that in there to sound good. We actually didn't do a whole lot of studying.
Clint, tell us about Wade. He's going to school and hooping, and you're coaching. How did that work out?
Here we go.
I had to take Chris under my wing. I told him later on when he started having some success. He's a college coach and he's playing for state championships and getting his ass thrown out to Macon Coliseum. I told him when all that was going on, I said, "Man, you know what? I took you under my wing, man. You might still be down there at the Opera House or on the ditch somewhere in Milledgeville." So I took him up there with me, and I say this, I'm gonna give Chris some credit. When he did all that on his own, I took him to the well, but he drank the water. I took him to Duhan, and he did everything he was supposed to do. And Chris might not have been. Chris was the only walk-on that did play. So I'm gonna tell you, Duhan thought a lot about Chris. He told me one time Chris wasn't around. I was hanging out after a game, and I ain't like I said, they didn't lose at home, but you don't want to mess with Duhan if they didn't play good. So but it was one of those nights they played good. I talked to him after the game, and he said, "Man, I think a lot about Chris. He's gonna be a good coach." So. But anyway, I was teaching and coaching in Macon County. I was a young guy. I took Chris. We had a 1-bedroom apartment. He slept on a fold-out couch. I had the bedroom. We had a shag carpet in our apartment. The carpet was, I'm not kidding y'all, it was at least 4 inches tall. We used to make a joke. Somebody you drop a quarter in the carpet, and you come out with $1.50. You get down there looking for the quarter, you'd find 8 of them. You know, we lived a little bit of the college life, but we went out at night. We had one place we'd go down there, had a dirt floor. I can't remember the name. You remember the name of that, Chris?
Yeah, Pat's place.
Pat's place had a dirt on the floor. We'd out, and, we'd do a little pool, hang out. It was hard, but I learned real quick, and you know this, and all four of us know this. When you got to get up and go teach and go to school the next day, man, you can only do so much of that. So it was about 3 months of partying, and then I learned, hey, we got to get this thing right. And then once Chris started practicing, he kind of slowed down too. But that first fall when we were there, man, we were wide open. We were wide open. We both single. We didn't have a care in the world.
Right.
Now you were coaching football and basketball, right?
Yeah, I was coaching football.
Wait a minute. I wouldn't say he was coaching football. He was on the staff at football.
I was a part of the most winningest program in the night.
That part's true.
That's true.
That part's true.
And I really developed the love for football. Again, all three of my brothers played college football. I played into the 9th grade, then I punted. Went out there and just punted and played, just kicking it only when I got out of the 9th grade. But anyway, I developed a love for football down there because it was just so much fun. Hell, winning's fun, So I had a passion for football. And
who was the kid that you had down there that played in the NFL?
Antonio Cocker. He played 7 years with the Seattle Seahawks. He's got a national championship ring in basketball. He played at Okaloosa Walton for Murray Arnold, who was assistant.
We scrimmaged that team at Southwestern. They had him and Spruill and Drake from Albany High too. They were damn good. We scrimmaged them the year they won it.
National champions, and Murray Arnold was. They say Murray Arnold was the one that took Michael Jordan under his wing with the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls were having a difficult time settling in on a coach, when Michael first got to the NBA. And they say Murray Arnold was his guy. I don't know, but that's we met at the Pizza Hut in Americas, and I had Antonio with me, and Antonio was supposed to go to Florida. Steve Spurrier flew in on a helicopter, and he didn't have his SAT score. Flew in on a helicopter, offered him a scholarship. Things were a lot different back then, Corey. Nobody signed, nobody committed. You know what I mean? You got guys now, they committing in the 9th and 10th grade, verbally committing. Back then, shoot, you might not know where you was going to the day you could sign.
Corey, well, it hasn't changed. You do all your recruiting by helicopter, don't you, Corey?
Right.
So, Clint, he played JUCO basketball and then played football at 4-year, right? Is that how that went?
He played JUCO basketball, won a national championship. He met his daughter, Antonio's daughter's, I think, the #1 girls player in Georgia right now. She's down there somewhere in Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
That's his daughter.
Yeah, she's at Hardaway, I think.
Hardaway.
She's legit.
And then his wife was playing at Okaloosa Walton, and she ended up being a WNBA star. But he left Okaloosa Walton. He called me and said, Coach, I don't think I'm never gonna make the pros unless I play football. Well, then the way it worked out was Middle Georgia had a football team that next year, so he went to Middle Georgia for a year. He got his SAT. Then he ended up playing for Jim Donnan, Quincy Carter, and that group, Kirby Smart, for Jim Donnan in Georgia.
That's crazy. So you leave Macon County. How many years were you there?
2.
So Wade graduates, and you leave Macon County at the same time. That helped out with the apartment, I guess.
Well, what happened was the first year we lived together, and then the next year I met my first wife, and I moved. I told Chris he was on his own. Somewhere in there, Chris, that flood came through and tore up our whole everything we had.
Yeah, the conflict. 94, I think.
Yeah, that Florida, there was a bad flood come through Albany and Americus and tore the whole town up, tore Montezuma up, messed up.
Yeah, it was bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you went to Henry County after that, Clint?
Yeah, I went work for the infamous Chuck Miller.
He's the only dude that won like 40 games a year, but he leaves out the part he coached boys and girls.
Right.
I got some wins now. He got about 800 or 900 wins.
At least.
Ball, man. And that was that was interesting. I was there 11 years at Henry County.
And you did basketball and football there as well, right?
Football there, and was a coordinator, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Started really digging into football, and that Henry County was an interesting place, man. I stayed there 11 years. When I left, didn't even nobody tell me bye. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of like that's how it was. So Jonesboro came open. They couldn't find a football coach. My man Dan Melman and John Cozell, they called me and told me we was at a Christmas tournament in basketball. So I made up my mind in the middle of the season I was leaving. Mm-hmm. So we wasn't real good. We had 2 years before that, we were pretty good, 27, 25 wins. But Jonesboro.
The Wimbush boys, right? And Carvel and all those guys.
Carvel, yeah.
Herman Maines. Did any of them come play for you, Chris?
Wimbush.
Yeah.
I recruited Carvel, but he went to Brunswick. But Wimbush came, and then that post player, I can't remember his name, the big kid that I want to say he might have been ineligible for you, but
he passed away. Cornelius. Yeah.
Yeah. Dang.
Passed away. But anyway, took the Jonesboro job, so I'll let Chris talk a little bit.
Hey, before you do though, so you're in the middle of the basketball season, and you get offered a football job for the next year.
Yeah,
that's kind of how that worked out. And then,
let me tell you, I'm gonna hit y'all in on a little secret, man. The money difference is amazing between football.
Amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, it really ain't right. But I mean, I understand why it's like it is, especially at a place like where Chris is. But it's a big. If you want to make some money in high school, football, it's different. My raise, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me.
Right.
And one thing about football that's different than basketball, football, if you get enough help, you can get it done. Basketball, you can coach on your own.
Right.
I think, it's good to have a couple of good assistants, but you can get by with, football, you get enough help, shoot, all you're doing is just delegating.
Right.
Managing the operation. Hey, I think we all know the answer here in the South, but why is football pay that much more? Because it brings in the money? Because people care more? What do we think?
Well, I think for us down here, it's because of the amount of money it brings in. I mean, you're going to make at our home games, we'll make $85,000 to $100,000 a game. So I think that's part of it, and then I think the other part is like you said, the interest level in it, which brings in the money. So I think it's the difference for us is the amount of money it brings in.
And a good team brings in more money, so you're gonna pay some good coaches.
I mean, you look at a team. You look at a team like now. Tifton's a little different in basketball because we'll make. We're self-sufficient and we actually make money and to help support other programs. But if you look at a Lowndes and a Moultrie and, those guys, if they're not playing Tift County, there's 150 people in the stands. I mean, they lose money big time for basketball. So, they're an expense like every other sport, whereas, Tift's probably one of the only big programs in the South that makes money. Now, there's some smaller ones, that like Turner County, for instance, where I was last year. I mean, we sold out every home basketball game, no matter who we're playing. So some of the smaller schools, basketball is self-sufficient. But when you get in Lowndes and Camden and Moultrie and, Brunswick, those type of schools, basketball loses money.
So let's finish up, Clint, before we go back to Wade. So, Clint, you end up winning the first ever state tournament game at Jonesboro, and they had football for about 1 million years.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
When that happens, what
Let me back up a little bit, because I'll be failed to mention if I don't mention a guy crossed paths with at Henry County. It was a big influence on my football career. And what's crazy is he ended up being with Chris was Eric Soliday. Eric Soliday is a guy that you know, me and Chris were together in Americus, and I was at Macon County, and then we got separated a little bit, and then Eric Holiday's name surfaces back up, and Chris ends up working for him at Americus. I worked for him in Henry County. So how ironic is that?
Yeah.
And so he's been a big influence to me and Chris.
That's right.
But he was the one guy that convinced me that hey, man, you want to make some money, coach football, and then he gave me the opportunity to be a defensive coordinator, which, you know, when you could go in on a job interview and say, hey, I was a defensive coordinator, I was a defensive coordinator, you got a chance. But, you know, to be honest, the reason why I got the Jonesboro job is there just wasn't a lot of interest in it. Yeah. But we won the first playoff game in school history.
And they had football forever, 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's correct.
I think the first team was 1942, and we won the first playoff game in 2007, 2008.
That's crazy. And the history with the Satterfields and everything else, that's got to be neat.
Let me tell you about the game now. We're playing Hepzibah, and it's raining so hard that you can't. And you hear this all the time, but I'm serious when I tell you this. You could not see. You could not see. And we won the game 7-6 and held them on the 1 yard line 3 plays at the end of the game.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Won it 7-6.
Was that 2 field goals? They missed the extra point? What was it?
It wasn't no damn field goal kick in that monsoon. We stopped them on the extra point. We kicked the extra point. I had a kid that was a really good kicker, and we figured they scored and went up 6-0. We scored, tied it at 6. It was right before halftime, and we got all the towels we could find. Yeah, we said we got the ball good and dry. And back then, the coach could go out on the field. Back then, they changed that rule. I don't think you can go out on the field anymore. But back then, you could go out on the field. We was out there. We had the ball good. We handed the ball to the referee. Back then, I was about 290. I ran off the field as fast as I could, and they snapped the ball. We kicked it 7-6. I said, I think this might be over with. Little bit I know, we fumble and they get it down on the 1. We have to hold them, like 3 plays. There's no way to know if the guy scored or not, but they referees,
Was it at Terra Stadium?
No, it was in Hepzibah.
Wow.
Oh Lord.
Yeah. It was good though.
So you go from there to where you're at now. How long have you been at Locust Grove? You started the program and all, right?
We got 11 years, so.
Don't get down.
Dang. So you've been at 2 spots, 11 years. Two of your 4 spots you've been.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So before we go to Wade, what did you take from basketball to help you with football? And what did you take from football to help you when you were doing basketball?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's all, to me, it goes back to my roots, man, what I was talking about earlier, the competition factor. So I probably took some things from basketball. I think it's easier in basketball because it's a smaller number to have some of that competition drills, you know what I'm saying? Where you can go 2-on-2, 3-on-4, stuff like that, hustle drills, get after it type things. Incorporated some of that into football where we just wanted to make them play hard, pursuit drills, stuff like that. It's a lot of the drills carried over, but I don't know if any philosophy. I don't know, Corey. That's a good question. I don't know if any philosophies really carried over. You have your core philosophies as far as your rules as a coach. Be on time.
Your non-negotiables, right?
Yeah, all that type of stuff. How you gonna handle a fight? How you gonna handle this? All that stuff. It helped me because I was a head coach in basketball. I had to establish all that. So I went to be a head coach in football. I took a lot of my same. I'm not a guy I get made fun of a lot because, I know you remember Rick Moore, the legendary Rick Moore.
Legendary.
Rick Moore used to say, Satterfield ain't got no rules. And you know what? He's probably right. I don't have a lot of rules. When you start having rules, what's going to happen? They're going to break them. Yeah. So I just don't have a lot of rules. I just have a lot of understanding between myself, my coaches, and my players.
In football, do you coach the coaches more Then you coach the players probably.
You do. You have more of that. You have more where you got to. And there again, with my coaches, though, I'm a coach's coach. I mean, I let them coach. I expect them to coach. I don't look over their shoulder. But you do have to. Every once in a while, you have to reel them in. You know, it's bad enough when you got a kid saying, coming up with something, and then all of a sudden you got a coach saying, "Oh man, my air went out at my house, and I had to, be late." So it's a little bit of that goes on. The differences are the numbers, Corey. That's the differences.
Yeah.
You're dealing with, instead of carrying 16 on a basketball team, you carry now you're over maybe 100 kids.
That's crazy. And then you have to probably JV and ninth grade. You kind of got to oversee them too, don't you?
Yeah, but like you said, good help, man. That's how you pull it off. Any of us can be a good football coach, get enough help.
I like it. All right, Wade, walk us through it. So you leave the shag carpet down in Americas, and where's your first gig?
I said, I'll back up a little. Clint said that he took me under his wing, kind of halfway joking, but he really did. Because of his advice, I chose to go to Georgia Southwestern and play for Glenn Duhon, which for my basketball and coaching career was probably the best decision I made. And on that, he did allow me to kind of crash there to get my feet on the ground. So I am appreciative of that, even though we do kind of joke about it. But in all reality, that was probably the biggest decision that I made, in my life as far as a coaching, or what led to my coaching career. Had I not done that and stayed at Georgia College, who knows what would have happened with the coaching change and so forth. So he really did steer me in the right direction as far as that go. Now, he steered me in plenty of wrong directions that fortunately I've overcome. But that one was definitely, I think that was a huge decision in me being where I am or being able to do the things I've done in coaching. So when I got out of Georgia Southwestern, I went over to Americas and talked with them, and at the time Reagan was there, and he was 100% football, and he said, "Well, we don't have they had a defensive line coach was the basketball coach just to pay him extra money." And Clint will probably remember this story. So he goes, so I go to talk to him. He said, "I tell you what, I'll let you be the assistant, but you can run the team. You'll make all the decisions. But I've already promised him that money." So I said, okay, because I just want to coach. Baby, stop. So then I went home and I said, you know what, that I'm not doing that. I said, I'm going to be named the head coach. I'll let that guy keep the money. That's fine. So I went back to Reagan. Long story short, he agreed to it. So that's how I kind of jumped in head first, right out of Georgia Southwestern as a player, being the head coach at Americas. And really, we had, I think, like 11 returning seniors. And I don't know how much y'all know about America's kids, but Clint knows with the Macon County kids, those kids, those South Georgia kids are, you can't fool them guys. They ain't like, some of the metro Atlanta areas. Like them guys, the stuff you hear about and people talk about is for real. So I'm walking into a gym with 11, 19-year-old kids, and I'm 22, and, it was a little bit of a challenge to try to win those guys over and enforce, my will on them, being that young and that new to it. So that's kind of how I got into it, coaching basketball.
So you're there. Y'all end up making a couple of runs to Final Fours. And you always had Mitchell Baker, right?
Yeah, well, at that time, we kind of, I say it's bad luck. It wasn't bad luck. It's just the way things work. During that time, I was at Americas. I had good players. I had good teams. But, in our region was Mitchell Baker back in their heyday, and Randolph Clay, in one of their heydays, probably their best run. So my last 3 years, we made the Elite Eight. In all 3 years, we got beat by a region opponent. And back then, now you cross over, you can't play a region opponent until the Final Four. Well, back then that wasn't the case. They didn't cross over until after after the Elite Eight. So I would say, you know, we didn't make it to the Final Four. We made it to 3 Elite Eights, but I feel pretty good if he'd have crossed over like it does now, we would have made 3 Final Fours and lost in instead of in the Elite Eight. But we weren't beating Mitchell Baker, Randolph Clay on any night. I mean, we only, it's crazy, in 6 years, never beat Randolph Clay, as hard as that probably is to believe, and only probably had one legitimate shot in the regular season. In my last year, they beat us in the Elite Eight, and we had a you know, that's the infamous game that Clint likes to refer to. We had a shot at him, and he got away from us late, and the story goes from there.
I want to interrupt real quick, but I didn't think about this. So Chris and myself, as soon as we left college, we became a head coach.
Mm-hmm. First
I was
year
a
out.
head coach in Macon County. He was a head coach at Americas. And like he said, we were just drinking age, probably 22 years
Right.
old. Well, Chris started drinking when he was 15. But
And ain't stopped.
Officially.
All right. So you stay in the town of Americas for college,
Right.
coach at high school. You also were the offensive coordinator at some point there.
Right.
And then you end up getting a college job that they started back up, South Georgia Tech, right?
Right. Well, the football came along. We had my best player was Fabian Walker, who some of you probably have heard of. So he didn't play his freshman year. I didn't coach football my first year. He came in when I did. We came in together. So once I saw kind of what he was about, his demeanor, you know, I just went to him and said, look, if you'll play football, I'll go to Coach Regal and I'll coach football. Because, you know, I wanted to be out there, number one. And number two, you know, my thing, and Clint's the same way, just like he was with the kid that went to Okaloosa Walton. I mean, you want what's best for the kid. And Fabian was a good basketball player. He wasn't ever going to be big-time D1. And from what I'd heard about him in football, you know, he didn't need to put all his stock in basketball. So long story short, we go out, both of us go out to football the next year. And that's how I got started with football. I actually was a quarterback coach for the first 2 years and then became the offensive coordinator. So that was the reason I got into football was, you know, a little bit I wanted to, and a little bit was to encourage, you know, him to go out and play. And it worked out good for him as well.
State, right?
Yeah, he ended up signing with Florida State, and he went through some injuries and won a national championship at Valdosta State as their starter, but he never really panned out much at Florida State, mostly due to injuries. And then the South Georgia Tech gig, I was, you know, just in the right place at the right time. I had a kid that in one of my math classes that was not a very good student. Mama came in for a parent conference. I had no ambition of getting into college. It wasn't really on my radar. And she was the vice president at South Georgia Tech. And we just struck up a conversation. She asked me if I'd be interested in talking about the job. One thing led to another. So at that point, I had been the head basketball coach for 6 years and a coordinator for 3. And in those 3 years where I did head coach and coordinator, we played 14, 13, and 15 football games. And then obviously, you know, a basketball season that, you know, probably 2 months of doing both, you know, and the hours that we put in with football and then combined with going to basketball, I was at a point where I was just burnt out. So to me, getting into college wasn't so much of an ego thing or necessarily a desire to be a college coach. It was more of a, you know, I said, dang, I can just coach one thing, make nearly the same money and just get a break, really, to be honest with you. So that's kind of how that worked out.
So your first year down at South Georgia Tech, y'all wasn't even accredited. And everybody used to try to kill y'all, and somehow you still were winning games. Walk us through that a little bit.
Well, we were never accredited any of my years. They got accreditation after I left. So, yeah. Huh?
that makes a lot of sense. They got accreditation after you left. While you was there, they couldn't get no accreditation. I can see that.
Right. Yeah, Sachs was probably looking at other things. Yeah, right. But, yeah, we did it that first year we took about a lot of castaways, and a lot of years we had to, just get guys. I mean, my best team, had the Jamie McNeely, who's assistant Texas A&M. He just came down from Canada, didn't have nowhere to go. He landed in our lap. We had the 2 kids from Orlando, same situation. Somebody called me about them, and we really until they got accredited, it was really hard just to go out and recruit because we were honest with the kids. I mean, we never lied to them. We never said they could do this or that. So we basically had to take kids that either, were in a unique circumstance or just didn't have anywhere to go. I mean, the kid that's the NBA guy that Wright had when I left, I mean, that's how he got there. Nobody offered him out of high school. And, that's how he ended up at South Georgia Tech. I can't think of his name right now, but
Crowder.
Yeah, Crowder. I mean, it wasn't a thing where Wright went and sold him a bunch of bull and lied to the kid. I mean, the kid had nowhere to go. Yeah. And so he ended up at South Georgia Tech, and then, he left. And that happened to us my last 2 years. We got guys like that. They had some success, and then they all would leave because of the accreditation. And I get it. We weren't happy about it, but we never tried to stop it or anything because, it wasn't the kid's fault. It was a kind of a two-way street because we gave you a chance. Now you're ditching on us. But at the end of the day, it was the best thing for the kids to let them go if they could, until the accreditation happened. So
you go from Americas after being there for playing ball, coaching high school, coaching junior college. Now you're going to Miami-Dade. Is there any more of a different place in America
yeah.
Miami? I mean, I ain't sure.
No, yeah. Once I got into college, then I thought, and I had, not a great amount of success, but I had some decent success. I said, well, I've got to, if I want to move on, move up, whatever the case may be, I've got to get into a better situation. I thought a better situation to give myself a chance to have better players, more exposure, and hopefully be able to move up in the ranks. So that was kind of behind my decision to go to Miami-Dade, and it was a lot different place, but it's not the horror stories you hear. I actually loved it. If it hadn't been a financial issue, hell, I may still be there. I loved it down there. I called a friend of mine back in Americas when I got down there, and this probably needs to get edited, but I was in the line at a gas station across the street, and the lady behind the counter was just unbelievable, like Colombian or Cuban or something. I don't know what she was, but just beautiful. And so I called the guy. I said, I'm fixing to ask the lady at the quickie across the street out on a date. I mean, that's how amazing the women were down there. I mean, it was just everywhere. I mean, in the life, I was still single at the time. I mean, it was a good time for me.
Would you ask the lady at the Flash Foods in Americas out for a date? I just
probably not. That was kind of the point behind the story. Without
that is a lie. That is a lie. That's why I took you to America to live with me, because he would ask anybody anywhere for a date.
That's not done. No,
So you end up having unbelievable success at South Georgia State or South Georgia Tech, despite non-accreditation. Your first year and only year at Miami-Dade, y'all make the Florida tournament, which I don't know if they had made it in a long time before.
Right.
Since then. So now you get out of it for a little bit, and then you end up getting back in on the football end. You go back to Americas. Is that right, or you went to Albany? I can't remember.
I went to Monroe one year. Yeah, I got back in it. So when I went to when I left Miami-Dade, they basically promised me some stuff that didn't happen, and the difference in cost of living and that kind of thing from Americas to Miami, as you can imagine, was pretty vast, and I just couldn't do it financially. So fortunately, through a connection with one of my players, I was able to get a gig with Adidas. So, I had a daughter in Georgia, and when I had the chance to come back, I'd anticipated her coming down and being – she was with me for a year or two. But then when she went back to Georgia, I couldn't be that far away. So when I got the chance to come back, I took a job with – the guy I took a job with in Monroe was the defensive coordinator at Americas while I was offensive coordinator. So I had a chance to get back into it that way.
And then you jumped to Americas, then you jumped to Tift, and you were back on the basketball side when you went to Tift, right?
Yeah, I went to Americas back to Americas as the OC, and then y'all probably don't know the story, but that guy got in some trouble and got fired mid-season. So I was basically finished the year as the interim head coach at Americas, and then when they brought in another guy, and obviously he didn't want to keep me just because there was a conflict, and I didn't really want to stay. But Holland had been calling me almost every year, wanting me to come be his assistant. Well, I needed a spot this time, and so I took it, and came to Tifton to help him out.
And when he left, you became the head coach and had a Final Four run as a head coach and won a championship as an assistant. Most people don't realize Holland was your assistant first, though, right? At America.
Yeah, he was in college when I was at Americas.
So we're gonna close this thing up. So Wade, you ended up with the run, and now you're back at Tifton, but not with basketball. You're a coordinator again. So
I came back as the offensive coordinator, and and basically what Clint said earlier, it was a money thing. I mean, I'm getting close to retirement. I wanted to get back in football, but the thing at Turner didn't end up being what I thought it was, and with what they pay coordinators here, and then also I want to eventually hopefully get into administration here. So this will being back in place will help me.
So look, every time we end this show, after we get everybody's path, which is off the beaten path, what we call it, because there's a bunch of nobodies hanging out, shooting the breeze. But now we do the lightning round. So we're going to hit you guys with some questions. Hopefully you can answer them quick. Some of them be either or questions. Some of them be quick stories, whatever. And then we'll let you go because I know you guys y'all got to go. All right, so I'm gonna start us off here. Best place you ate in Americas, Clint.
Monroe's.
Monroe's. What about you, Wade?
Chevron Chicken Box.
All right, Clint. Best place to eat in Jonesboro. It probably won't be open anymore. Ain't a lot of them open, but where was your favorite place in Jonesboro?
Man, I'm gonna go with Butch's, man.
I already knew. All right, you Wade.
Yeah, I'm going Butch's too.
I'm gonna go Butch's or Dean's. I'll throw Dean's.
Dean's, I should have went Dean's. That's a good call. Yeah. I should have went Dean's.
All right. Now the last one here. Best place to eat in Tifton, Wade.
Oh man, we do a lot of commercial, but I would probably say El Cazador Mexican restaurant.
I like Charlie's down there is my favorite, the seafood place. Clint, where's your favorite place in the Grove, in the El Grove?
Locust Grove, man. You got to hit that chicken run right there in the corner of the Chevron, man.
Hey, what was the spot on the square that the quarterback them owned or whatever? Remember that? It was been a long time ago. We went there.
About Donnie Lawrence's place.
Yeah. They still got that place. It was pretty good.
They're the only people that still sell water beds. They own a waterbed antique place.
Man, ain't no square. Let's get this on record, man. There ain't no square in Locust Grove, man.
That's Henry County?
That's McDonough,
man. That's McDonough.
McDonough, that's right.
That's his old spot, man. You got to watch out now. All right, your turn, Cyril. Throw them at a couple, and I'll end with a couple.
Back to the sports side of things. Pick one and tell us why. Clint, football or basketball?
Man, that's tough, but I got to go with football, man. I got a big ass house now and a couple of cars, and it's all about the money, man.
Financial.
And like I want to get this on record, Chris. I've got my vintage on, man. I'm inspired by Sloppy Robbie off of Netflix, man.
Getting all the plugs in. Wade, football or basketball?
I would say for coaching basketball, just because Clint alluded to it earlier, if you have to coach it all, every player you can, and in football you have to depend on so much help. So I would definitely say basketball because you can control all of it.
And connect there. All right. South Side or South Georgia?
Ooh, that's fighting words. Which one? Which one, Clint?
I know. Not to get you in trouble. Clint, South Side or South Georgia?
It's easy for me. I'm from Bonanza, man. I got to go with South Side, man. Clayco, that's me. It's in my blood, man. So, I mean, I love South Georgia, but when you got to drive 45 minutes just to see one good-looking woman, it's hard, man.
Well, you moved to Miami.
South Side for me too. South Side for me. I've enjoyed South Georgia. I've lived here most of my life, but South Side is the best.
All right. Basketball specific. 2 quick ones coming up. You play zone or you play man, Clint? You got to pick one.
Well, I'm gonna play man to man, and the reason is I can't stand to see guys like Wade and Corey stand there shooting with nobody in their face, man. You put a hand in their face, they're a different ball.
Wait, are you saying that?
So
you're saying Corey and Wade will make the shot?
Oh man, they zone busters, man. They live for a zone. So I'm gonna play man to man all day.
There you go, Wade. Man or zone?
We're definitely man to man, and in 6 years I was at last 6 years at Tipton, we didn't play one possession of zone.
There you go. Not one possession of zone. And finally, on the basketball side, shot clock for high school. It's coming to the state. Are you all for it, all against it, or have other opinions? Clint, shot clock for high school hoops.
No way. I don't want no shot clock, man. I like the old school 4 corners, Dean Smith, put some more coaching in the game, man. Let the coaches have a little control. The shot selection in high school basketball already bad enough. What's going to be like with 25, 30 seconds?
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
Wade, if you've got a quick answer there, shot clock, yes, no, or something deeper than that. What do you think?
I say definitely no for the same reasons Clint said.
Well, he went with the quick one, right? He got the baby in the background.
He got a shot clock on his mic.
Auto view. She doesn't like it either. That's why she's sharing her thoughts on shot clock. Wow.
All right, Wade, which one's more comfortable? The couch when you get in trouble at the house now, or the couch you had to sleep on when you was living with Clint?
I ain't sleeping on the couch here, so definitely when I was living with Clint.
All right, Clint, worst roommate you had, and you can't say any of your ex-wives.
Oh, man. It wasn't Wade, man. It wasn't Wade, man.
Okay.
I can't throw out the worst roommate I ever had, man. They might be watching this, man. I know this is wide broadcasted, so they might be watching this. I can't lose my job, man.
All right, I got.
Not throwing anybody under the bus. Good for you. Good for you.
All right, wait. Last one, Clint. With the whole thing with COVID-19, people having to play on outdoor courts again. Do you think Coach Flakes is back up at Bonanza hooping right now with a whole crew together, or do you think no?
Man, I tell you what, I'd love to see some outdoor basketball, especially you got to have a fence. The fence is out of bounds behind the goal, and then on one side, and you can have the line running up the other. But, you just think of all the things you could do with a fence back there,
I always liked it. You had to watch out to lay up near the fence.
Yeah.
Go crashing through. All right, for both of you, a favorite moment as a head coach, football or basketball, but what is one of your favorite memories, favorite moments over the years? Clint?
I'm going to let Chris go first.
Oh, let's go. Coach Wade?
I would probably, this is going to sound probably stupid or corny, but probably when I was at South Georgia Tech, I'll have 2. We beat Okaloosa Walton at Okaloosa Walton, broke a 89 game home winning streak that they had, and just for the fact that like Corey alluded to, kind of the obstacles we faced, and then when we first started the program, we searched out Chipola, OW, Pensacola, Tallahassee, and we made a point to play those guys, and it was kind of a goal to get to that level. So to me as a coach, personally, I think that was pretty cool. And for my kids, I think 2019 Final Four run, I mean, those guys, you know, Corey offered one of our kids, didn't really want to. I think he did, you know, just as a favor for me. But no college players on the team. And for those kids to make a Final Four run at a program like Tifton, that means a lot. You know, they go down with the rest of the great teams.
What classification is that?
Right, 7A. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that was cool for those kids, man. That was neat for them to be able to do. So I would think those two, just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, good ones. How about you, Clint?
I'll give you one from each sport. I think football had to be the first win of my career as a coach at Jonesboro. Man, it was something else. They hadn't won many games. I think they'd won 2 in 3 years. It felt a lot. I mean, there was a lot of emotions with all my family and everybody was there, you know, and it meant a lot to win that game. Probably selfishly a little bit, but you know, that meant a lot. And then basketball, I would probably say we were terrible one year, and we beat Westlake in the region playoffs. They were number 1 in the state. We were the last seed, and back then they had the player of the year in Georgia. Kid that went out to Indiana, Moyer, and they didn't even make the playoffs that year. And the next year they won a state championship, but we beat them at the region tournament in Stockbridge, and we played a triangle in 2 the whole game, and got lucky and made a couple of shots at the end. And it was one of those games as a coach, and Chris and Corey, and you can all relate to this, is when you sit there and go, all right, we're winning. When's this thing going to go bad? When's it going to go bad? And it just never did. We ended up winning the game.
Right.
That's ones when it's over, you say, hurry up and pack up and get out of here before they recount something.
That's right.
Let's get the hell out of here before somebody changes their mind.
Right.
That's crazy. All right. Well, y'all got any closing before we get out of here? Anything y'all want to add or say, or somebody you want to give a shout out to, or anything we didn't cover y'all want to cover? Wade, you got anything?
No, I'm good. It's just good to talk to Clint again. Been a long time, and appreciate y'all having us on. I think it's a cool thing y'all are doing.
All right, Clint.
Yeah, I'll piggyback that statement, man. It's good always to see Wade and you, Corey, and it just if you reminisce on where we was, where we been, what we doing, and all this, man, it's really kind of cool to think about all of it. So, it's, you know, we got a lot in common, man, and we all doing our own thing now, and you know, get away from each other sometimes, but at the end of the day, man, much love and respect for all y'all. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I always think, Clint, without getting too simple, too much emotion there, but I know our uncles are looking down.
Oh yeah.
Smiling, knowing we doing what they wish they could have done.
That's right. Yeah. Amen.
All right, sir. We're getting ready to close this out.
Yeah, you were getting sentimental there, and what you just said, doing what you've always wanted to do, takes me back to where Coach Wade started us off. You mentioned that you knew you wanted to be a coach. So I'm going to toss that back out there. Why? Why did you want to be a coach? How did you know back in the day? And that'll kind of be your final thought for today. Did you?
Well, I think
your team?
I think, yeah. Well, I think for me, it was a reality that, you know, a lot of kids, I think, hold on, not to a fault, but I think they hold on to the dreams and aspirations. And once I went to JUCO, you know, I was a very average player there. And then when I went to Georgia College, I was definitely not good enough to play there. And the same at Georgia Southwestern. I mean, I was the 10th, 11th man. Somebody got hurt or in a blowout. So I knew early on that I wasn't, you know, going to be a pro or anything past that. And, you know, that's just something I always wanted to do. And fortunately, through the guidance of Clint, you know, I got with Duhan and basically when I went into Duhan, I told him just that. Look, I don't expect to play. I'm gonna bust my ass, do whatever you want to do. If I get to play, fine. If I don't, fine. But what I do want to do is be involved, in some of your decision making, be involved in your preparation. I want to be involved that kind of way. So he put me actually my senior year. Coach Brown, the older assistant we had, he put me between them two during games. So, I sat there and I heard everything back and forth from them. Every bus ride, I sat on a stool right beside the driver's seat. Duhan drove the bus, believe it or not. And we talked there and back. I just hammered him with questions, stories, all that kind of stuff. So I had the mindset from junior college on to use those 2 years at Southwestern to prepare myself to be a coach. And like I said, it was the best decision that I've made professionally, I think, and that was even before it got started.
How about that? Clint, we had Mike and Pat Moynihan on Lefty's Grandkids, and Pat and their other cousin, Ty Anderson, was saying how Mike was a really good shooter. And Mike said, this is my favorite podcast ever. This might be your favorite podcast ever, as Wade is telling you over and over that your guidance sent him on the right path in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But, he's telling the truth. I had to drag him out of the ditch, man. Drag him out of the ditch, put him on my shoulder and take care of him. And,
hey, mind you, a ditch that he put me in. So let's don't leave that part of the story out. I didn't just get in the ditch by myself.
The question is this a real ditch or a metaphorical ditch that you're getting pulled out of, Wade?
Sometimes both.
Yeah, it's just a term we use, get him out of the ditch.
Mm-hmm. Well, it looks like he's done a good job. How about you, Clint, to wrap things up there? When did you know you wanted to get into coaching?
Man, I just knew that from day one. I'm just like my cousin Corey, man. We kept up with sports our whole life. We tell you about football, basketball. Those were the two big ones. And I just couldn't see myself doing anything else. So I was gonna do whatever it took. And Bill Hodges is my guy. He Duhan was Wade. Bill Hodges is my guy. Bill Hodges one called down at Macon County and told him, I got a guy for you. The story behind that was the principal was a Hall of Fame girls coach named Carl Peaster. And he called Bill looking for a coach. And Bill said, I got your guy. And, I was that guy Wade was. I played a lot more than Wade. So, I was so damn good.
Yep.
You were so good that he changed your position just so you could get in the game. But we won't. That's for another podcast. We won't go into that.
But anyway, no, all jokes aside, I hung out with Bill just like Wade hung out with Duhan. And it wasn't just that we hung out with him, but me and Wade brought up the same way, man. We had that interest in sports, and we couldn't get enough of their stories, man. We couldn't get enough of what they had to say. So,
that's fantastic.
And Duhan and Hodges now they were arch rivals, but at the end of the day, man, there's a lot of common between them two guys.
Mm-hmm. And Corey, you told that story on the podcast too, how you sat up front with Coach Hebbs and Coach Walsh, and you're soaking it all in, asking all the questions. It's in the blood, isn't it? Gotta love it.
I was planning on being a middle school coach and coaching all the sports. And then I met Hebbs and Walsh and Brandon Johnson, Coach Johnson, and I knew from day one with them stories they told, I'm coaching college.
Oops.
They changed me, man. I was ready to coach it all. A little swimming, a little track, football, whatever they wanted. But then
right.
I got around that, I knew.
Wade still wears that Speedo he wore at Forest Park Middle School.
Hey, Clint, Chris, thank you guys for coming on, telling stories and putting it all together for us. Love the way it goes back to those teenage years and how you got each other's back and continue to stay connected. So really appreciate you guys.
Problem. Thank you guys.
Sir, thank you.
All right, close it out, sir, and we done.
Let's do it. We'll stay connected on social media as always. The Instagram, Off Beaten Path Podcast, or the Twitter Off Beaten Path with a little underscore. So join us there in the ongoing conversation online. We really appreciate everybody listening to the OBP podcast. A great episode.
And this is a show for those who want to coach, those who used to coach, those who are coaches, those who follow coaches, and those who hire and fire the coaches. Appreciate having me on.